From Transport Topics in Washington, D.C., this is RoadSigns. Here is your host, Seth Clevenger.
Thank you for listening to RoadSigns, the podcast series from Transport Topics that explores the trends and technologies that are shaping the future of trucking. In this episode, we're going to offer up a preview of the ATA Technology and Maintenance Council's 2024 annual meeting, March 4th through 7th in New Orleans. This, of course, is the biggest event on the calendar each year for truck maintenance executives, and it's also a major showcase for the latest trucking equipment, components, and technology. TMC is only a week away now, so now is a great time, I think, to go over the topics and trends that we expect to dominate that show. We hope this can serve as a helpful primer for the thousands of industry professionals who are planning to attend in person, as well as a valuable discussion for anyone involved in the fleet maintenance sector. Before we dive into this, though, I'd like to invite you to follow our live coverage of TMC's annual meeting at ttnews.com. And of course, you can access our full coverage of TMC and other industry trade shows by subscribing to Transport Topics at ttn.ws/ttsubscribe. You can also text TT-subscribe to 571-622-0001. And now, to help me preview TMC 2024, I'm pleased to bring in my colleague Michael Fries, Transport Topics Features Editor. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
No problem, Seth. I'm ready for New Orleans.
Yes, as am I. Well, let's go ahead and talk TMC. So as you take a look at the conference agenda, review the sessions and the topics that you expect to encounter at the show, what have you circled in your schedule?
Well, one of the things, especially the batch of technical sessions that we have at TMC this year are very interesting, just on several fronts. One, you have the ever looming topic of electrification. And as we niche that down, we are also talking about, especially on the technician side, and service side, the efforts to partner with the right utility company and everything you ever wanted to know about your electric power provider but was afraid to ask. And that's a perfect technical session when it comes to partnerships to utility providers, because there's so many things to consider when a fleet is going toward the road of electrification. There's more than about 3,500 electrical power providers in the United States. And each of those particular entities, have their own way of doing things business-wise. But there are certain nuances that fleets have to take into account when partnering with a utility player, whether they are very apt to play in this game called electric vehicle infrastructure, or just kind of wanting to know the ins and outs on that particular relationship, because that relationship is going to last for a while. So, that is one that I'm really looking forward to, and also just for my personal understanding, since I covered it pretty extensively last year, the Super Truck. The Super Truck program. And I'm looking forward to the latest findings that the Department of Energy with the latest additions of the Super Truck 2 and 3 program. So that, and, just the basic minutiae of things like, choosing the right engine oil for your fleet, those things, all three of those particular sessions, I definitely have those circled, and I can't wait to attend those.
Yeah, I do also agree that the findings from the DOE Super Truck program is certainly an interesting one. This is again a program for those listeners who might not be aware. It's partial funding from the U.S. Department of Energy, grants that are handed out to truck manufacturers, Cummins as well. And now we're on to the third version of this program is underway. But really, it's meant to push the envelope, to enable innovation, to really drive the ball forward in terms of fleet efficiency and how efficient can a commercial vehicle be. So this is stuff that might not be right on the forefront and right on the horizon in terms of being market ready. But of course, if you're a truck manufacturer, you're usually focused on what you can bring to market, what will provide a clear return on investment. And you want to focus on what the technologies that you're confident in. But the Super Truck program allows these manufacturers to really push the envelope, to really experiment with 50-50 funding supported by DOE. And we have seen many cases where some of these experimental designs or elements of these experimental designs end up making their way onto production vehicles, and we're starting to see the very beginning of that. So it'll be interesting to see and really dive into the details on that at TMC. Another topic I want to bring up, of course, has been all the work and all the dialogue at TMC related to the emergence of alternative fuels and zero emission trucks, and how fleet operators can navigate all these new powertrain options, right? I mean, this is an industry that's been dominated by diesel for generations. Yes, we've had natural gas and some other alternatives in certain use cases, small volumes, but now we see this menu of options opening up even more in the years and decades ahead. Battery electric trucks, of course, are already on the market for certain trucking applications where it makes sense, and we also see all the investments in hydrogen fuel cell technology and also on the market now in small volumes, as well as the need for diesel engines to become cleaner than ever and meet tighter emission standards. So surely that dialogue will continue this year. You mentioned that technical session on the role that a fleet's electric utility provider plays in this electrification process. Is not just buying an electric truck and putting it out on the road. You mean you need the charging station and charging infrastructure to support that, and the utility provider, the power company, is a huge part of that, and that's a new type of partnership for commercial vehicle operators that didn't exist in the past. That's why there's been so much attention, I think, from TMC to really help the industry figure out all these challenges that come with something so new. But again, there's a lot that's happening here, and this dialogue will continue. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on this? Again, this continuing conversation about electrification and alternative fuels. How do you see that playing out this year at TMC?
When you stretch when we stretch out to the 10,000 foot view of the electrification conversation, the points that you just touched upon, which is pretty much what the industry is thinking about, in the sense of what we discussed, partnering with a right utility partner, and just getting involved in the nuts and bolts of maintaining an electric vehicle. And I think that's the conversation that's going to be had at TMC this year. Just sort of what do we do with the EVs that are on the road, and how do we implement a proper scheduled maintenance protocol when it comes to maintaining these vehicles. And you can get down to the battery storage. You can talk about the certain equipment, how the tires will be affected, and those other component issues that you would have to deal with on a regular basis from the technician's point of view. But there's also just one of those niche things as well when you talk about electrifications that most people aren't even really thinking about. An example of that is the S16 study group, the service provider study group, which they're going to have a session called "How to Safely and Properly Lift Electric Vehicles." And you would think, just with the lifts that are in a service bay, you think there's not too much to them, but EVs tend to be a little bit heavier. So there's certain specifications, or property specifications of the vehicle, that technicians have to adhere by. So you have that conversation as well. So it's definitely about, we can talk about the efficiency and how electric vehicles are going to slice and dice and make the trucking and logistics industry all better. But when you get down to those maintenance details, it's best to have all those areas covered. And one thing from my conversation with Homer Hogg from Travel Centers of America, I had asked them, how can the technician segment of the industry adapt to the scheduled maintenance that will come for electric vehicles, and he simply stated that it's the knowledge that we've learned from the diesel technology already. That information and those particular standards and protocols that have been adhered to for decades, we can implement those into a proper EV maintenance schedule. So I mean, the principles are still there, but it's just learning to adapt and working out those particular kinks, because we're still in that messy middle. So those conversations are still to be had, and ideas will be thrown out, and I think that's one of the most exciting aspects of coming to this convention where you can actually see these ideas flesh out.
For over 120 years, Great Dane has been synonymous with reliability and innovation, crafting trailers and truck bodies that endure the test of time. Great Dane is now committed to leading the charge for a greener planet with innovative products offering eco-friendly solutions. From reducing emissions to increasing efficiency, now more than ever, we're helping our customers lower their carbon footprint and improve their bottom line. Discover how Great Dane provides solutions for today and the future with products that are better for our customers and better for the planet. Visit us at greatdane.com today.
Really, the TMC is in many ways where the rubber meets the road, and these ideas really are put into practice. And it's the folks who attend a show like TMC who really figure out all those details. Like, yeah, how do you lift a battery electric truck that's much heavier than a diesel model that you're used to, and what are all the safety implications? There's really a lot that's new that the industry still needs to work through. Something I also wanted to mention while we're on this topic of sustainability, Transport Topics will be presenting an award, actually 2 awards at TMC this year. These will be our inaugural Sustainability Pathfinder Awards, where we're really highlighting one for-hire carrier and one private carrier who are at the vanguard of reducing emissions, eliminating waste, and improving efficiency in the freight transportation industry. And these are a couple awards. We'll be presenting them at TMC's Industry Awards Luncheon on Wednesday, March 6th, if you'll be at the show. Great Dane Trailers is the sponsor for the award. I certainly appreciate their support. And yes, there's a lot to consider about new technologies, about zero emission vehicles, about alternative fuels, but there's so much more to sustainability than that, including using today's technology, right? I mean, any opportunity to reduce empty miles, eliminate deadhead, improve routing, as well as taking advantage of technologies that are on the market in terms of aerodynamics, ways that you can improve fuel efficiency that way. So we've taken a comprehensive look at dozens upon dozens of nominees that have been nominated for this award, and we've made our selections already, but we'll be announcing them to the public on March 6th. And we were pretty overwhelmed with the amazing examples of sustainability in the transportation industry, and we're excited to present those at TMC coming up soon. Shifting gears here a little bit, I also want to bring up workforce development. That's another one of these perennial topics at TMC. Every year, this question of how to recruit, train, and retain technicians who are going to maintain and repair trucking equipment really is one of the top issues of the day. And really, I think that you look forward, and in light of the changes in powertrain technologies, the job of the technician is going to become more complex, right? And maybe even more specialized as we see, again, alternative fuel and zero emission vehicles start to make their way into the industry. We also see more sophisticated driver assist technologies. That's something else that technicians are working with now. And of course, the diesel engine will only become more complex as well as new emission standards go up, and we see the truck and engine manufacturers prepare for those. But Mike, I want to ask you, how you see the technician role evolving in the future. How can the industry prepare both current and future technicians to perform maintenance on trucks with battery electric powertrains or hydrogen fuel cells, and maintain ADAS systems or maybe even autonomous driving systems at some point in the future? I mean, we're looking ahead here, but think about what's going to take to train up technicians to what the job will look like in the future.
I think what the council is currently doing is, in the sense, preparing its members for that arrival of critical mass when it comes to performing preventive maintenance on electric vehicles. But there's still diesels on the road, and they're still going to be under maintenance. So kind of balancing that and explaining to people who are not in the industry or are not aware of a career in auto technology that this is the current situation that this industry is in right now. I mean, you get to work on vehicles. I mean, that's something that is definitely developed as a passion, and the council going to places that may not be privy to a life of truck driving or working on trucks in general. So just getting that message across is important before you even get to the nuts and bolts. And for those who are for those people who are passionate about fixing trucks and auto technology in general, there's definitely a realization that it's much more of tablets and keyboards than wrenches and screwdrivers. But there's still that element in there, but there's definitely a scooping help of technology that's involved there. When you get to things, for instance, such as tires and wheels, it's much more than mounting and demounting tires and wheels off of trucks. There's other technologies you have to worry about that presents challenges to that. With the technologies that we have in TPMS and ATIS. There's a lot of challenges when techs are performing those scheduled and average duties. There's that little nuance that they have to deal with, and just kind of having these unattended consequences when it comes to the technology, and having techs put on their problem solving hat. As you said, with automation and electric vehicles thrown into the mix, there's another set of problem solving skills that technicians have to learn and implement into their strategies when they're fixing those vehicles. So having that awareness and that anticipation for the incoming technicians that are in there to see what's coming in the horizon, that's one thing, but also to perform the job, because there's still there's still diesels out there, and they're not going away anytime soon. So it's just kind of getting that balance and knowing what the future is. I think the council is doing a great job of informing potential technicians of what's aware in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. And just getting back to the conference agenda, for those who have not been to TMC, right? There's a whole packed agenda full of different types of sessions and meetings. One of the key elements of the show are task force meetings where members are developing recommended practices for the industry, right? And that's where there's a lot of conversation about what should be the process and what's the best way of handling this or that issue. Across the study groups, there are study group sessions as well where industry leaders really dive into specific topics. And Mike, you mentioned a couple of those. And beyond that, there's the exhibit hall as well. And for TMC, the exhibit hall is really one of those venues where truck makers, suppliers, and tech vendors showcase their latest and greatest in trucking equipment, components, technology, and more. So just looking at the exhibit hall, Mike, what will you be looking for as you make your rounds?
Well, one of the things that I'm just going to self promote. I'm really looking forward to going to the Transport Topics booth and conducting the speaking to the many leaders of the industry there. So that will be fun. But one thing that I've really enjoyed when I go to when I walk through the floor is the tire manufacturers. Those are the booths that I see that the manufacturer OEMs that are there. They're really excited about their latest product and that being the latest and greatest, especially when it comes to tires and just in their relationships with EVs. So just talking, I'll have a chance to talk to several tire manufacturers and just kind of gauge on how they are navigating in the space of the incoming arrival of electric vehicles when they come in mass to this industry, and how they're positioning themselves as a tire manufacturer to provide components that will hopefully be compatible with the EV. So and just kind of learning the progress of how it's going since there's several years I've spoken to them, just sort of seeing the progress and things they've learned in providing tires and wheels to electric vehicles, and to see where it takes them from that point.
For over 120 years, Great Dane has been synonymous with reliability and innovation, crafting trailers and truck bodies that endure the test of time. Great Dane is now committed to leading the charge for a greener planet with innovative products offering eco-friendly solutions. From reducing emissions to increasing efficiency, now more than ever, we're helping our customers lower their carbon footprint and improve their bottom line. Discover how Great Dane provides solutions for today and the future with products that are better for our customers and better for the planet. Visit us at greatdane.com today.
And there's always a lot of ground to cover as well, so never a bad idea to bring comfortable shoes if you go to TMC. If you spend a lot of time in the exhibit hall, if you check your health app, you'll probably have a few more steps at TMC than you would in a normal day. Beyond that, and you also mentioned TT's presence in the exhibit hall. We do have a recording booth, so we'll be doing some live interviews from the show floor, and we do conduct many of our podcast interviews remotely. But it is nice when we have the opportunity at a show like TMC to record interviews on site, kind of get the buzz of the audience and the feel of the trade show while doing these types of interviews. And how do you like recording at industry shows compared to our usual remote interviews, Mike?
I enjoy interviewing altogether, but getting a chance to be at the show and speaking with the people that I'm talking through email or phone, just having a nice conversation about the show, of course. And then also, for instance, I plan on having a conversation with the TMC, the current TMC director, Todd Cortair from Bison USA. And one of the things that he's talked about is, and it's especially the theme of this conference, just quality and speccing. Having those particular conversations when I meet with him in person, really get to see what really pick his brain and others that I'm speaking to during the show about just the state of the industry. Just kind of having that 10,000-foot conversation. I really enjoy those particular moments because that's a time to really take an assessment from their perspective on where the industry is, be it on the state of the technician segment of the industry, or people like, Brian Altricker from Fleet Advantage, where we're going to talk about the leasing space when it comes to in the world of trailers and just sort of how fleets are navigating those particular options. So just kind of, having those really deep conversations and getting into the weeds of all technology. That's the really cool thing about being at the show. And also when recording at the booth, you're not walking so much because we're going to be doing a lot of that as well.
For those of us in the trade press, TMC is also chock full of press conferences hosted by industry suppliers and tech vendors to introduce new products and services. Sunday before TMC in particular, we have really a full day of wall-to-wall press conferences to cover. What do you expect from this year's press conferences, Mike?
Well, other than it being busy, there's a lot of things. The Highway Heroes Awards with Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. We've been talking about just the implications of the industry when it comes to EVs and automation, and we're going to be talking about wheel and tire and wheel maintenance and all that good stuff. But the Goodyear Tire Highway Heroes Awards is an award yearly that Goodyear gives out to drivers who go above and beyond heroic efforts, be it maybe helping a distressed driver or participating in charity events and making a strong impact in that area. So Goodyear chooses one driver a year in that moment, and it's nice to see that driver who's being recognized for his or her good deeds, and a company like Goodyear basically treating them for the week as a honored guest at TMC, and just to see the looks on their faces, and it's just sort of they're doing things that they would normally do if nobody was watching. So getting into that and just kind of, I wouldn't say a break, but it's sort of a pause from all of the industry stuff that we're covering, and for that particular moment, just noticing that, just as a reminder that, the trucking business is a people business. It's a person business. And, when the time arises, we do have people who step up to help the common man in any, in a broken circumstance. So that's always nice and comforting to see.
Yeah, for sure. And, as in years past, Transport Topics will be producing daily reports that we'll be printing and distributing on the show floor at TMC. So you'll find these at newsstands with new issues on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning at the conference. So TT, we're normally a weekly publication in print, but at a show like TMC, we actually become a daily news operation. And that means we need to file stories quickly to keep pace. A lot of these press conferences that you mentioned are, we have reporters on the ground covering and then turning those around quite quickly. We'll be covering the various meetings throughout the days at TMC to feed into those daily reports. So, Mike, from your vantage point, just describe the work that goes into producing our coverage from TMC. That includes our web coverage, our daily reports in print, our main coverage issue in Transport Topics, as well as all the multimedia work that we do for our RoadSigns podcast and TT Radio and other TT programs.
It's I often think about it, us as a staff coming in as Voltron. and we're all individual pieces, but we all come together to do this event that we call TMC. And and Seth, you are the head. You're the head of when we unite as Voltron. So basically, our day, like as you said, that Sunday is a very busy day. We're covering many events on a half-hour clip, basically. And then from there, that Sunday, all the news that comes from that Sunday is a big driver what goes into the TMC coverage. And from that point, we're pretty much running around like chickens with their head cut off. But at the same time, we bring some calm into the finished product that is the news stories that you see on ttnews.com that you will see during the show as well. So from there, our team covers study groups. We often have some booth visits and conferences during the show that we'll cover as well. There's a lot of information that's available during the show that provides many ideas and other topics that come to mind for the rest of the year that makes our issues what they the trusted source that they are right now. So just from that week, we are hustling and bustling from the morning till sunset. So it's definitely a nice boot camp feel. And as a former military guy, I definitely enjoy that, and that gets my juices going.
Well, that's a great overview, and you're absolutely right. The conversation that begins at TMC certainly continues really throughout the year until the show comes up again next time. So it's an ongoing dialogue, and this is one of those kind of premier moments where the industry comes together and really focuses on, especially the maintenance and equipment side of the industry. Another element I wanted to very briefly discuss about this show is the venue itself. The city of New Orleans just so happens to be a pretty fun place with amazing food and live music. So I figured we'd take a quick moment here to before we wrap up to share some travel recommendations for folks who will be heading to TMC. Any ideas or travel tips you'd like to share, Mike?
Well, the warehouse district is a very nice district. I mean, I haven't been there in a while, but I've been told by many dependable sources that that the food will be the food and the atmosphere will be very festive when we get there. However, the TMC executive director. Mr. Braswell, he had said that most of the entertainment that's going on will be within the vicinity of the convention center. So, I mean, being in the warehouse district, I think that's a great decision because there's a lot of stuff going on, in New Orleans and the TMC having that space to at least the members to enjoy themselves and without getting lost into the bourbon street, the bourbon streetness of New Orleans. We all know how how things can get sideways real quick sometimes with that. But that being said, there are so many restaurants to choose from. But I think personally, from my end, I'm definitely going to get into some jambalaya and anything other dish that has shrimp in it. And I think I'm going to be all in that. So
Yeah, great food city. It's if you're not eating well, you're doing it wrong for sure. Great
yes.
restaurants, and if you're not counting calories, I do recommend the Bananas Foster at Brennan's restaurant. They claim to have originated the dish, but yeah, that is not one where you want to look at the calorie count for sure. But sometimes that's worth it. And for live music, yeah, I'd say skip Bourbon Street, go to Frenchman Street in the French Quarter. That's the place to see live music if if you're staying extra day or so and have a little bit of downtime to check out the city. And you have to check the calendar to see what's happening at the Preservation Hall. See what if check out the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Is really cool. I did that one time and really enjoyed it. And it's not going to be too hot this time of year as well, so this would be a good time to do that. I'm much more of a metalhead myself, but I can still appreciate live jazz. So yeah, just
It's been a while since I've been to New Orleans, and it's kind of surreal because the last time I was in New Orleans was a week before Hurricane Katrina. So I'm yeah, so I'm just I know the city has changed the last time since I've been there, but I'm definitely going to enjoy some of those recommendations that you put forth.
yeah. Well, we all look forward to seeing hopefully many of our listeners out in New Orleans at TMC, and we hope we've set the stage for that show. As you've heard during this episode, we expect the industry's ongoing conversation about expanding powertrain options, about workforce development, to really continue at this year's show. As we all know, the trucking industry keeps the economy rolling, but the equipment that hauls the freight is becoming increasingly complex with more technology, more emission reduction systems, and the emergence of alternative fuels and zero emission vehicles. And along the way, TMC really plays a central role in helping the industry navigate this complexity and stay on top of the latest technology changes. As a reminder, be sure to check out ttnews.com for Transport Topics live coverage of TMC 2024 from New Orleans. And you can access our full coverage of TMC and other industry trade shows by subscribing to Transport Topics at ttn.ws/ttsubscribe. If you've enjoyed this episode of Road Signs, please let others know. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If my questions have sparked questions of your own, share them with me and the Road Signs team. You can email us at share@ttnews.com. We'll read them and respond daily. Also, let us know how we did by texting TT Survey to 571-622-0001. And of course, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a fresh episode of Road Signs. Until then, I'm Seth Clevenger. Thank you for listening.
Did you know you can ask Alexa to open Transport Topics? In just 1 minute, you will hear the biggest trucking headlines of that day. Be prepared and start your morning off right with Transport Topics.